discussion post for this week. And quickly summarizing what we've gone over in the last 4 weeks of this class, looking back, well, the Southwest is a lot of things. And I think we've discussed that quite a bit in this course. In the discussion post, many of you have brought a lot of really insightful comments to how you think about the Southwest and how your thinking of the Southwest has changed. So thank you for sharing that. Another question is Native American communities, even when recognized by the federal government, the idea is that these are autonomous, sovereign, self-determining nations. But how much of that is actually the case? How much does the government still play into dictating the lives of Native Americans? Many of you in the class are Native Americans, so it'd be interesting to hear your analysis, your ideas about this. We know that Native peoples of the American Southwest and the northwestern Mexico have really adapted to climate and also to their situations. They borrowed a lot from each other and from other non-native cultures. To live in the Southwest is to be creative and pragmatic, and it's not an easy place to live, and those who do so in some very creative ways. And I think we've looked at, every group we've looked at has a very interesting way, or 10 or 100 that they've dealt with living in this very inhospitable but also very beautiful environment. Also, why should we care about anthropology? Well, I made a point a few minutes ago and said that it gives a different perspective on people, and that's really good. And sometimes it's very hard to step out of yourself or out of your culture and actually view people in a different way. And when you start to compare different peoples and look at the similarities and differences, you can actually learn a lot more and get your mind blown once in a while. And so hopefully you've all gotten a little bit more appreciation for what anthropology is. There's a bunch more classes at the university, and there's a major, and there's anything else. If you have any questions about this, or about this field, or about what we do, send me an email or give me a call, and we can talk. And also, I hope I've conveyed the importance of history in understanding all cultures, and not just the Southwest, and not just Native American culture, but history is important to understand where we've been to see where we're going. Now, that might be a cliche, but it's really true. And especially, I think I've shown in the Southwest, or we've talked about a lot, is that history determines everything. It determines who you are today is how your history has defined you. So what? This is the last so what of the semester. What will you take with you? And every one of these is a prompt for a discussion post. I told you discussion posts can be real easy this week. So these are questions I want you guys to think about when you do the reading, and post a discussion, get your stuff turned on Wednesday, and then enjoy that last week or so before school starts, because you guys deserve it. You've worked really hard over the last 4.5 weeks, so thank you very much. So what will you take with you? Some things to think about is the idea of federal recognition. We talked a little bit about federal recognition. You've read a lot about it, but it's when tribes are recognized as being sovereign nations by the federal government. Well, this is always in flux, and there are many Native American communities that aren't federally recognized. And what does this mean to these communities? How is it important? Why is it in flux? And what is this relationship between Native American communities and the federal government? These are always really great things to talk about. Also, tribal casinos, cultural tourism, other economic pursuits. We've talked a little bit about in this class, but something that we can always use a little bit more discussion on is, casinos, tourism, good or bad, why? Another point, language preservation and revitalization. Obviously, everyone thinks it's important. I certainly do. I know a lot of our students in this class from Native communities also think it's really important. But what works? What doesn't? What's the best way to go about things? Last week we read about soap operas. I thought that was kind of cool. Land, water, mineral claims, always important. Always money involved. And money, land, religion makes for some controversial stuff. So let's talk about a little bit about it. How do you divvy up a limited amount of water when, Phoenix and Tucson, the cities have to fight for it with LA? Where do Native American communities, sit at the table when you're trying to divvy up rights and there's golf courses to water? And lastly, education is also really important. But how is education important? Native American communities in education. Should it be is it better to have education that is focused on kind of mainstream society, or should it be much more regionalized? And this kind of links up with language preservation and education at every level is a really hot button topic in Native communities, as you're both trying to retain this localized traditions but also make sure that students have all the tools necessary to do well for themselves and their communities. And so these are just some basic points I wanted to talk about. But I'm done with talking. You guys have been great. I've actually really enjoyed this. I didn't know what this was going to be like, talking into a microphone and recording these videos and doing all this, but this has actually been really, really pretty fun. So I want everyone to have a great summer. Your grades will be posted on Monday, and thanks a lot. This has been enjoyable. Have a great one.